everybody. Welcome to the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We are here with Ozzie Fernandez of Go Eat Concepts. We are going to be talking about some tequilas that are in front of us. We're going to talk about the restaurant industry, the Go Eats Concepts, and all the restaurants underneath their umbrella and everything they've got going on. And it's really going to be a fun episode. I'm excited to get some tequila education in addition to restaurant education. So it's going to be a great episode. You want to stick around for all of that. Before we get going, a big thank you to the wonderful people making this possible. Falaya Real Estate, Currency Bank, Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge, Mallard Bay Outdoors, Government Taco, and Horizon Financial Group. Stay tuned to the end of the episode to hear a little bit more about our sponsors making this possible. But without further ado, Ozzie, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Patty G.
Absolutely. I'm glad Conrad put us in touch and we're able to make this happen.
Yeah, I look forward to it. A lot of fun.
Absolutely. So before we get into the thick of things, we've already started. We've already gone through this bottle of, what is this, Clase Azul?
Clase Azul, yeah.
So what is the next tequila that I need to be pouring?
We're probably going to start with the Blanco, the Plata, which is the Ocho. It's one of my favorites. Very clean. Tequila Ocho, blue agave. It's great, just clean, fun tequila.
Excellent. And so this is something that people can get at one of your restaurant concepts, Modesto, right?
Correct.
So let's go. Oh, that's right.
Yeah, you got to pour me a little bit too. Don't forget about me.
Absolutely. We're both here. So
you can get all these tequilas at Modesto. Yeah, I brought all these from the restaurant.
Excellent. So what? Go Eats Concept. Cheers, man. Thanks for coming on.
Definitely. Good to be here.
Here's to fun time and tequila. So Go Eats Concept, dictated from the board behind us, has a lot of different restaurants underneath it. So we want to backtrack a little bit before that and kind of figure out how we got here. So who is Ozzie? Who are you, man?
Well, I'm just a regular old guy, just trying to make it happen, living the American dream, right? So my first concept was Izzo's Illegal Burrito, opened up on Burbank Drive, right by LSU, back in 2001. Your producer, Barrett, over here. Barrett? Is that right?
Yes, Barrett.
Yeah.
Barrett, yeah.
He actually went to he told me he went to the opening party, so that's an interesting blast from the past, right? And so in 2001, and we've opened up several locations, obviously. And then my second concept was Lit Pizza. That actually took me a little while, to open a second concept. I think we opened in 2016, right after the floods.
So 15 years in between the first concept and the second?
Correct, yeah. I focused on opening more Izzos.
Okay.
And it kind of evolved. We can kind of get into some of that with the, focused in on full service. Those were fast casual restaurants. So I had the Mexican fast casual, the pizza fast casual, and then I opened up Rocca Pizzeria on Government Street, which is more of a full service, full bar, wine program, beverage program. Great chef over there that's doing amazing things.
Really good garlic knots.
those garlic knots. Brussels sprouts.
The Brussels sprouts.
It's got a great team. Yeah, it really has. I really have a great team. We can get into that too, because that's really where the core of who I am is, really surrounding myself with great people. You mentioned Conrad, and my CFO, and he's tremendous. So, and then we opened up Modesto, which was kind of, my little baby. Since I am of Mexican heritage, both of my parents are from Mexico, and Izzo's a little bit more Tex-Mex, and Modesto, our slogan is Más Mex, less Tex, and so we kind of went regional and family recipes, and a little bit more, I hate to use the word authentic, but a lot of people use that word. So we're doing fun things over there though. So, and then we have our commissary kitchen, our food distribution, which is Central Kitchen Foods. Okay. We do our own production for a lot of our restaurants and other venues, our own produce program, and kind of self-distribution, if you would, to really help secure some of the purchasing power and keep our menu prices as low for our guests as possible.
Right, and make sure that the continuity across all the brands remains the same.
Exactly. The consistency is number one.
Right. So backing up, how did you get into Izzo's in 2001? So what was your story leading up to opening those doors on Burbank Drive?
Yeah, first of all, I didn't grow. I wasn't born in Louisiana, but I feel like Louisiana is my home.
We welcome you.
It's been great to me and my family, my wife, Leslie, and my 3 kids. Baton Rouge specifically. So this is home to us. So I grew up in Houston. I went to school at A&M and graduated from A&M, and then I went to culinary school. The culinary arts. Growing up with my mom, she was such a unbelievable, and she still is unbelievable cook, Mexican cook specifically, right? So we grew up much like Louisiana people, entertaining friends and family and around the dinner table. And so I kind of didn't know I had a passion. I had a great friend, actually one of my best friends in college. We lived together. His family owned restaurants in Houston, good company. They have several concepts as well. So he and I spent a lot of time together, and we actually did a lot of barbecue cook-offs. And we can get into that's a whole nother separate conversation. But he had a trailer pits and spits smoker. So
Pits
through
and spits?
pretty much my college career, we smoked a lot of meats, brisket, pork, ribs, and we entered a lot of cook-offs. What
was that like?
We hitched it up to the truck. We threw an old sofa in the back, a couple of chairs, and we had this sound system that we threw in the back, and we rolled up to these barbecue cook-offs around Texas for the weekend, and we were kind of some young. They probably looked at us as some young punks, with a nice smoker. Right. It was a really nice offset smoker. Pits and Spits is a really nice brand out of Houston, and it's a full trailer, and so we had a lot of fun. We did chili cook-offs, and we started cooking a lot at our home. So I kind of fell in love with just cooking and entertaining. And med school, just kind of have a degree in biology, and it just.
Wait, so you went to med school as well?
No, I did. I said that was my aspiration.
That was your path. You wanted to go
You're
down.
18, 19, 21.
Yeah.
You don't know what you want to do at that time. It's pretty tough.
You just want to smoke meat on the weekends,
Yeah,
right?
smoke meat. Yeah, smoking the good stuff, right? The meats, yeah. So, from there, I went to culinary school. I didn't graduate from the culinary school because I was already working for some restaurants in Houston. I teamed up with some chefs, and I was learning more on the job than I was in school. And so I took some positions there, and I did a lot of consulting. And my Spanish helped me a lot. Being bilingual, a lot of our workforce Spanish speaking, and so I learned a lot how to open restaurants, what was successful, and what didn't work. Some restaurants closed, and so we would design the menu. We would create. We would order, the equipment. We'd work with the architect, and we design the kitchen, and from there we would train the staff, and we'd open up, and our month-long consulting gig was kind of up, and we moved on. So that really kind of set the stage for me in terms of opening up my own restaurant. And so, I wrote a business plan for, a burrito restaurant. I kind of saw what was happening around the country. So, Chipotle, some other concepts that were doing well. And, with my Mexican heritage, I felt like that's something I can do. I can probably do better.
It's in your wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's in my wheelhouse. And so I had a great friend, Wes Davis, that played baseball at LSU. He was from Houston. And, just probably hitting happy hour in Houston. He said, you ought to think about opening up at Baton Rouge. And then my wife's best friend is from Baton Rouge and went to LSU. And she said the same thing. And I said, yeah, that's probably a good idea to maybe get out of Texas where the saturation is.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, the saturation within that branch of restaurants, either Texas or it's either barbecue in Texas or like Tex-Mex. Like those are your two options. So to open up another Tex-Mex restaurant, you're going to be within the same realm as everybody else.
It's the analogy of opening a shrimp po' boy place in New Orleans, right?
Right.
If you go to Tucson, maybe your chances of success are a little greater. Right.
Maybe a little harder to get the ingredients, but
you're right. Yeah, you're right. Exactly.
So had you ever been to Baton Rouge like before then, like to visit, or did you have any knowledge of Baton Rouge, or were you coming in blind?
I was coming in blind. Yeah. So I drove over here and I found that location right by LSU. I wanted to be by the campus.
Okay.
I thought the campus would be a great location. College students, big burritos, a lot of generous portions, great value. It's just kind of what right up to college kids. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah. What's the most amount of food we can
correct.
get
Yeah.
for the least amount of money?
Sure. Yeah. And, the rest is history. So I moved here. It opened up. It was a lot of challenges. It sounds easy, but it certainly was a lot of challenges. And but I thoroughly enjoyed it. So
When you had experience in the consulting world, right, helping other concepts open their restaurants, so it's not like it was a shot in the dark per se for you.
no, it wasn't a shot in the dark, but I was alone. And I think that was
That's
the
the
difference.
difference.
Yeah. So now I have, when we open restaurants, I won't say I'm not involved, but in the operations, we have just a great staff, great team, great leadership, management that just, they know what they're doing. At that time, I didn't even know what I was doing.
So you opened the location on Burbank. I mean, how were those first couple of years?
Tremendous. Yeah. Baton Rouge just came in, from a sales standpoint was great. I think the feedback was great. College kids were coming in, but we noticed that it just wasn't college kids. It was all likes of people, all age groups, all demographics. And so we said, well, that's interesting that, families were coming in, kids love it. I don't think I had a kids menu at the beginning. I didn't have kids at the time. And so your
It's not on your head,
yeah,
right?
It's definitely not on the top of your mind, like changing tables in the restroom. I didn't have those. We added those as
Look, you don't think about that when you're not in that phase. But like now I've got like a 5-month-old, and the first thing I notice in the restaurant is, do they have a changing table in the bathroom?
Yeah.
More importantly, do they have a change table in the men's restroom? Like, as I'm the one going to change the diaper at the restaurant. So it's, when you're in that frame of mind, you're not thinking about all of the other avenues that could happen. But once you add on those additions, then you start thinking about it. So did y'all like expand into a kids menu for Izzo's?
Yeah, I think we did. I can't even remember when we did that, but we certainly had the demand from, seeing families and, probably mothers or fathers telling me, hey, you ought to maybe think about a kids menu, and so, we added that, which was simple. But you're right. When you're not in that frame of mind, once I had kids, all the stores got,
changing tables, everything.
It's amazing with how your view on that changes, so, yeah. So, and then we opened up store number 2, I think a couple years later.
So where was the second location?
It was on Bluebonnet in Jefferson, which is still one of our busier locations.
Okay, yeah, right at the corner of Bluebonnet and Jefferson. Yep.
Correct.
I know exactly where that's at.
Yeah,
okay.
I think they had just opened up that Bluebonnet.
That little strip mall right there.
By Clay Cut, Bayou, that I think that they connected.
Clay Cut.
Or not, is it Clay Cut? I can't remember.
Jefferson and Bluebonnet tied in, head into like Airline Highway and
sure,
all
but
that.
the bayou that runs, or a little creek.
Oh, the bayou.
Yeah.
Okay. I have no idea.
But
so that was location 2.
That was.
Okay. So I hear going from one location to 2 locations is the hardest. Was there a point where you realized it was time to open a second location?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think we were ready. We had it was surrounding myself with great people, right? I mean, it really entrusting in the staff, in the team, kind of being a family. We consider Go Eat Concepts a big family of restaurants. And, I think that really believing in, our team members and allowing them to, take, not deviate from the business plan per se, but, have their own style of management in there, I think is unique for what we do. So, at that time I felt like we were ready to move on. I was still pretty young. I opened up when I was 26, which is
that's still pretty young to open a restaurant.
Correct. Yeah. So, it was probably I was 20, 28, 29. So, I still could relate to a lot of our staff is young, so I felt like I could relate to them. And the main thing for me was being in the trenches. I spent a lot of time inside the restaurants working, helping guests. We don't call them customers. We call them guests. We're welcoming you into our home, or into our business, into our establishment. And really, I think that culture kind of took off with our team, and really not cutting corners, right? It was one thing I really put my foot down. It's like, we're not going to cut corners. When I came here, One of the local produce companies that I had to buy produce from didn't have fresh corn, and my mind was blown. I said,
Wait, a produce company doesn't have fresh corn?
Yeah, I only use fresh corn.
Right.
We grill it on the grill, cut it off the cob, and kind of like I grew up doing, back at the ranch.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Well, we use frozen corn here," and I said, "I can't do frozen corn," So, but our commitment to quality, right? Using 100% avocados, not using pasteurized process, grilling our meats, and just really taking pride in what we do day in and day out. I think our team really, I think you could sell anything if you believe in it, right? And I think, for a lot, our team really believes in our product.
Well, and then it holds true within the quality of the product. I mean, we did a tailgate pack from Izzo's for this past weekend for our office, and I think it was yesterday around lunchtime, somebody brought it back out for all of us to kind of finish eating on, and you could eat that stuff cold. Like it was still delicious. I was like, okay, this is, like, you can tell the quality is there, which means the time and attention to detail is there on y'all's part. Y'all are making sure you're shopping around and getting the highest of quality. You're not going with the frozen options. You're going with those fresh options that you can get to make sure you're maintaining that standard of what you want to serve to your guests.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, that's the name of the game. I mean, I think people are willing to pay for quality, right? And they'd rather have a quality meal that's, and Izzo's Mexican food is very natural. It's a lot of great quality ingredients, and I think people enjoy it. It's great for families, and we enjoy serving people, and that's kind of what we do. Is that we're in the service industry. So,
and you want to make sure those guests are all served across the board the same standard of food.
Correct.
So it took you. What's the next bottle of tequila?
Well, we're gonna move to a reposado.
Okay.
So we did the Blanco. The Excelia is great. I think I had a little bit of that earlier. So the reposado, it's aged in some, oak barrels for maybe 2 to 12 months.
Okay.
We call it repo. A little vanilla hint from the oak barrel, just a little great sipping tequila. And that's a great quality repo there.
Okay. So this is more...
Join you here.
Yeah. Finish what you got going. So this is going to have some hints of vanilla on it as well.
A little bit from the aging of the oak barrels. I can't remember this specific one. I know the Art Gnome, which is fantastic. That's an añejo, which is it's aged longer, a year to 3 years.
And that's where you get that darker
done
coloration
in some French Cabernet Franc barrels. High quality wine that they bring these barrels from France, and they age it in there, which is going to just kind of give it some hints of cinnamon, vanilla. Just makes it easy on the palate and great to sip.
I like it. So this one, I almost got like a white chocolate on the nose. A little bit of white chocolate, maybe?
A little bit, yeah. Yeah, that's interesting you're picking that up.
And the vanilla. Okay, yeah, so I get both of those notes. So cheers to 15 years in the business before you opened your next different concept. So 15 years, how many locations were y'all out of Izzo's whenever it came time to 2016 when y'all opened?
I think around 16, okay. I want to say, if memory serves me. My memory is getting bad. Getting old.
It comes with age, right?
That does, yeah.
So going into Lit, and for those that don't know what Lit Pizza is, it's kind of the same idea, same format of Izzo's, but it's pizzas. Correct.
Yeah, and so, again, it was my travels around the country, specifically to California. I was going to Salinas to visit our lettuce farm, not our lettuce farms, but we purchased a lot from T&A, which is Tana Maria and Antle. Great group. Sometimes you see their lettuces in Costco and not. Fantastic family. Actually, it's a great story. Japanese family is the Tana Maria, and the Antles, an American family, and it goes back to World War II with the Japanese, and they came together. They owned a lot of the land, but obviously they were having trouble selling produce because of what was happening with the war. Great, and they do a great program. So my travels over there led me to some, concepts that we're doing the fast casual pizza, and I said, wow. I trained under an Italian chef, Richard Pignetti, and so I did a lot of pizzas. So I, Italian food is kind of like my second love, So
Okay.
I felt like, I know a lot about pizza. It's time to do another concept. I think.
What made you think it was time to do another concept?
Well, I think if I'd had the commissary, I call it commissary, which is Central Kitchen, we could have expanded further because of again, it's the consistency, producing the product, and self distribution, and being able to, we buy trailer loads of, beans and flour and cheese, and so we kind of self distribute to our own self, which has allowed us to keep our menu prices. We didn't have a menu increase for 4 years at Lit, or Izzo's, and we work hard to do our job to keep the menu prices as low for our guests as possible, right? It's being tough now, what we're going through with inflation.
Oh, I'm sure.
Which we've never seen some of these crazy increases. But, if I'd had the commissary, I think we could have expanded further. I think I think you gain quality. You don't lose it. A lot of people think you lose quality, but I think you gain it. But so I kind of wanted to be more regional. And that's kind of what we're focusing on now, is being a regional hospitality brand. We've got a couple more concepts that we want to roll out. Obviously, COVID.
Kind of put a damper on everything for everybody.
I mean, we've been fortunate through COVID, just with, I think we were positioned with, the way our food is packaged and traveled, and, pizza is, was the number one food during COVID. So, we were very fortunate there, and Mexican food has remained very hot. And so, but you're right, the real estate market and development and things of that nature have taken, kind of a backseat a little bit. People are a little less, risk tolerance is kind of lowered a little bit. But we wanted to expand, and I said, well, I can do pizza. And we're already doing the kind of, at Izzo's, we call it roll your own. So I said, well, why don't we craft our own pizza? And so that's kind of how, Lit was born. And it was, we worked hard on it. And again, I felt like I wanted to open by LSU. LSU was great to us. It has very long tentacles, all right? Alumni.
So,
it has college students. It has family.
So much,
right? And, a lot of the times I'd have parents come up to me and say, I kept seeing this charge for Izzo's on my on my kid's credit card. I had to come see what it was. It's like, why are you eating there or Lit pizza? So I felt like it was a good launching area. And so we opened up right on Burbank, and it took off. And
and y'all are almost like next door to each other.
Yeah,
on Burbank.
Close, yeah, very close. And so yeah, that's been a fun, great concept. It's staff, again, our leadership team there is tremendous, and I think our team members just have so much fun, building pizzas. And I think the wood oven, again, it's what we call the full dining experience. It's generous portions at a great value, high quality ingredients in a fun and clean atmosphere. And if we can execute that on a daily basis for our guests, then I think people, they've been very pleased with that.
Yeah, and it's also an interesting concept in the fact of location to Izzo's from time to time. Like, y'all will almost be a door or two down from each other with some of these concepts with Izzo's and Lit, where they're almost paired within these shopping centers, which gives families the opportunity to satisfy different cravings depending on the night. So, for example, y'all's one of y'all newer locations on Highland and Bluebonnet.
Correct.
It's they're next
City Square. Yeah.
City Square. They're literally next door to each other. And so I've been there before and seen families come and go. Like, they almost did a split. Like, the dad took one or two of the kids to Izzo's, and the mom took one or two of the kids to Lit. And they were able to get different meals, but then come and sit next to each other and enjoy their dinner together. And so was that, I'm sure it was planned, but like what went into that kind of planning strategy of saying we can potentially put these two concepts right next to each other?
No, 100%. That was exactly the plan, and that's kind of our plan going forward through development, right? So we've got 4 concepts. We're looking to add a couple more, but create a destination for families or for people that they can choose, and not everybody wants the same thing every night. I have 3 kids, and it's a battle between what we're going to eat for dinner, or where we're going to go. If it's not one of our restaurants, it's, some other restaurant, but it gives people options. You hit the nail on the head, and that location's been very good to us. We love the concept of having a dual, maybe even a triple concept, where, not the food court mentality, but
Right.
having a shared patio where people can come and congregate. Actually, the dining al fresco is obviously through COVID has become very popular, but it's tough in South Louisiana. I mean, in the dog days of summer,
It is brutal out there.
I don't like to eat when outside when it's 110 degrees.
No, unless I got a very, very cold beverage. It's rough
Yeah.
to get through those excruciatingly warm or hot summer days that we have.
Yeah. So no, we definitely see that as an avenue of growing, is providing a destination for our guest in a multi-concept arrangement.
So in 2016, you opened Lit, and then how quickly were you able to expand that over multiple locations?
So the commissary, I purchased the building and we, started assembling that team together, getting delivery trucks and all the equipment. We moved our dough program, which we still do fresh every day. Doing dough at the restaurants at the volume that we're doing is very taxing for the staff. And so we wanted to move that out, and we invested and kind of, commercialize that process, and not only that, just, Izzo's the same aspect. And buying direct, our produce program, I supply our restaurants with, about 90% of our produce, and we buy direct. And so that's really eliminated, from a cost standpoint, allowed us to keep our menu prices, again, not have a menu increase for 4 or 5 years, and the consistency of that. So that allowed us to expand Lit quicker, is to answer your question, was through the commissary.
So when did the commissary come into the picture?
I think it was like 2018.
Okay, so 2 years after Lit.
Correct.
17 years after opening Izzo's.
Yeah, we were doing the dough, we're doing the sauces, everything there, which is, again, we take pride in that. We want to do it, but we're just doing it on a grander scale, and we're delivering it every day with our own trucks.
And like you said, it also allows you to maintain that quality over every restaurant.
Exactly.
And it's able to, again, cut your costs when you're purchasing in that amount of quantity to then disperse it to all your different locations.
Correct.
It just is, when you get to the point of, with items that need to get prepared daily, you've got to have either a central kitchen, something that can take in that amount of volume and then distribute it to everywhere else, and not have to rely on each individual restaurant ordering from the same vendor, the same items, etc. You're able to prepare it all and then send it out the same day, which just is, for quality control, I'm sure it's just absolutely been a relief of having to go through all that.
No, yeah, I think you sound like you know your way around a commissary. Yeah, no, that's certainly the idea behind it, and that's what we're doing, and it's been very beneficial to our organization as a whole. And so it really allowed us to, Rocca, we opened in 18. Rocca does about 95% of its own production. I think there's a couple items we do at the commissary. So that one is staying true. The dough is done there. I've got a great team with Kara and Sean over there heading up that program. And, our dough program over there, it's a little different. It's Neapolitan style. So, in my travels, again, just, around the country, New Orleans even had great Neapolitan style. I fell in love with Neapolitan style.
What's Neapolitan, for those I don't know?
Well, Naples, Italy. It's kind of the birthplace of pizza.
Okay.
And, most of the stuff that I was doing was high gluten flour, which is New York style. Great. Nothing wrong with that. American flour is great. But with Neapolitan, it's 00, and it's finely milled. It's very tolerant to heat. This 900-degree oven, American flour, tends to burn pretty quickly in that aspect. It's higher hydration. And traditionally, kind of Neapolitan, a lot of people don't. I think, what's our friend Portnoy? Yeah.
Portnoy.
Prez.
David Portnoy.
Prez. He's not a big fan of
Prez.
Neapolitan pizza. I mean, I think he gives it a 7 point.
Yeah, he rates those extremely low.
Yeah, he does.
So from watching, for those that don't know, David Portnoy is the founder and CEO, I believe, of Barstool Sports.
Yeah.
So, and they just did something with our friends over at Cane's. He rated the chicken fingers with the sauce and all that stuff.
Oh, did he really? Okay, I didn't know that. That's awesome.
So they just did a whole thing about the Final Four or whatnot, and so he did a chicken finger review. And he gave Cane's like a 9.3.
Oh, wow.
And then everyone commented saying, you need the sauce. You need the sauce. So he added the Cane's sauce, and it came up to a 9.6.
Oh, wow.
So, but within his pizza review, so David does a lot of pizza reviews.
I think he was in New Orleans, right, for the March Madness?
Yes. And so this was the event. So Cane sponsored it, and they brought in, Cane, they brought in chicken fingers, and Todd and all of them were all over there. And so he did the whole chicken finger review, which is different from his pizza review. But I think he likes a good, like, thin crust, crunchy pizza that he can fold in half well, and just you get a little bit of
New York
crunch.
style.
You get a little bit of a crunch to it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that.
And those are the pieces from what I've seen. I haven't seen all of them. From what I've seen, that's what he rates higher than the thicker dough pizza styles, which is the.
Well, Neapolitan's not a thicker dough. I think the corner cone, which is the crust.
Yeah, is that Brooklyn style? Which is the thicker crust pizza?
Chicago.
There it is, Chicago. Thank you.
So, actually Neapolitan's very thin.
It is.
But it's kind of a fork and knife pizza. And I think that's kind of, it's a little bit more.
Now that you say that, it is I do eat leftover Rocca with a fork and knife.
Exactly. Yeah, it is a fork and knife pizza. But it is the birthplace of pizza, right? I mean, in Naples, Italy. So we add we do add a little bit of American flour to give it some stability, because we are Americans, right? I mean, I don't want to eat a fork and knife pizza. So
I think you would get some very weird looks if you were eating pizza with a fork and knife in Louisiana.
Yeah, well, yeah, you probably would. That's right. So Rocca's doing again, the dough program over there is tremendous. It's a sourdough starter that we use the BIGA method. That's BIGA, and it's basically we add old dough, well, not old dough, but the days previous,
the previous day's dough
back in.
Okay, and so what does that do?
Well, it just keeps the culture alive, right?
Okay,
and it's like a living organism basically, and the sourdough starter that we originally started out with, and so I'm hoping that I hope a team member didn't forget to put it in, and we're. I think they're putting it in.
You're saying we're doing it every single day.
It's like a ritual to make sure it goes in.
Right. Well, because that's so with sourdough, that is something like you have to cultivate that host almost of the sourdough. Because my mom used to make homemade bread from wheat. We would ship in wheat from Montana. Yeah. And so and then she started like selling wheat and mills and grinders, and she had like a whole bread business on the side. But she would grind her own wheat and make her own bread.
Wow.
And then
that's tremendous.
And then
how come you're not in the bread business?
Well, because it's very tedious. and she then got to the point where, because we were also homeschooled, right? So I'm fourth of 5. So she's homeschooling 4 children and making bread.
Wow.
And meeting with the other moms to basically tell them about her bread baking experience. Wow. And then they were inviting her, Patrice, you got to come into our home and make bread for everybody. And so she would come and make bread, and they're like, where do you buy your stuff? And so it was a natural fit for her to say, well, I'm just going to start selling all the stuff I am using to make bread. But so the sourdough she would make, you would have to start with a base, and then you could grow on that base. But if you lost it, you have to start from square one. And then she got into kombucha, which essentially is the same thing. Yeah. You start with that living organism that grows over time, and you're cutting it up to make more batches. And she got on a whole different train with kombucha and started giving out
I like that drink, though.
the
It's
amoebas
like a drink.
or whatnot
you
was
can
in them.
You can get it from a drink now.
Well,
right?
yeah, and
Well,
you can buy it in like Whole Foods or fresh market, and all that.
fermented, cultured. Yeah. Mhm.
And I was never a fan of it really when she would make it because I was probably in high school or college. I'm like, kombucha, no,
Yeah.
mom, no. But
That's awesome.
as of now, when you drink it, I'm like, this is actually pretty good stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's
Your
not
mom's
that
a powerhouse. Homeschooling and baking bread. I mean,
she's
moms are
saint.
resilient. I mean, they're unbelievable, huh?
She's a saint. Then we did we raised goats and chickens and horses and cows, and I was milking goats in high school and was late to prom because I had to milk goats. But it's all right.
That's a great story. Yeah. I'm late to the prom for milking.
That's what I was. I was an hour late to prom at my girlfriend, and at the time, who now she's my wife, and we have a kid. So clearly, it didn't affect it that much. But yeah, I was an hour late to prom because I had to milk the goats because my dad and my brothers were off duck hunting, and I had to milk the goats before I could leave to go to prom. So I was an hour late. The party was at her house. She had all of her friends over. She took prom pictures with her dad.
Oh, wow.
Before I showed up.
Did you tell her you had to milk the goats?
I did. It still didn't.
So
go
you were
over.
truthful.
I was very truthful. I was
you
like, I'm late because I got to milk the goats. Like, Charlotte, like I'm late because I got to milk the goats, and she was understanding.
That's a great story.
And then my mom the next day was very apologetic about the fact that she caused the goats caused my in-laws now their daughter's boyfriend to be late to prom was from the goats. So my mom made amends by bringing a loaf of bread, a freshly baked loaf of bread, was still warm when she delivered it.
Wow.
And after they ate it, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're forgiven." Just fresh bread is hard to beat.
It really is.
So I'm familiar with that concept of the sourdough needing that base.
Yeah.
So that's what y'all do at Rocca is kind of continue that organism throughout every day.
Yeah, we're very chef driven. Chef Kara over there just does a tremendous job. She's one of the best in the business. And, Sean and his program with the beverage program, our wine program, cocktails, so we, very proud of that store. It's a little neighborhood pizzeria in, Mid-City. And that's kind of what we, originally, my landlord there, Jack, hey, Jack, I hope you're listening. Great guy. They had called me to come look at it for lit. And it was the old Goutte space. You remember? It was Goutte.
Goutte.
So
I'm not familiar with that.
No,
and
you don't remember that?
So I live about 45 seconds from Rocca. I live in Mid-City, Baton Rouge.
I didn't know that. Okay.
So yeah,
great area.
It's a great area. Rocca's our frequent spot. So I didn't know it was there beforehand, but I know they've got that little convenience store on the side of y'all.
Yeah. Canatella's?
There it is. But I feel like for that space, it was almost kind of like too big for a lit.
Well, it was too big and too historic.
Okay.
I felt like Mid-City deserved Lit's a great brand. But
absolutely,
it's a little bit more. It's not a one-off, right?
Right. And Government Street is adhering more to a sit-down crowd.
Yes.
The crowd that, especially with, the Government Street boom is just crazy over the last decade. So many new concepts have opened up, and the old concepts that have closed down have been filled with new concepts. The Stephen Hightower Spoken Hub that he just opened up.
Hightower's doing a great job, yeah.
Great concept. And so with Rocca, when you went and looked at it, was with the mindset of lit, did you have Rocca on your mind at all?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So again, you were meditating Rocca.
Through my travels, around the country, I always seeked out Neapolitan style pizza. I absolutely love it. I disagree with the Prez, right? I would be rating Neapolitan.
The Neapolitan's higher.
I love New York style. Don't get me wrong. I love all styles of pizza. That's the great thing about pizza. You can't go wrong with it, right? But Neapolitan to me, the craftsmanship, the art, it's artisan style. What goes into it, the sourdough starter, the culture, there's a whole certification process, which we don't do because we don't adhere to the standards of the Neapolitan style. There's only certain ingredients you can put on there, and we didn't want to limit our chef's ability to add arugula or, other types of proteins to the pizza. But, it's regulated, and it's a great, our wood oven, it's 100% wood. It cooks between 850 and 950, depending on any time of the day. But it's not only are we a pizzeria, we've evolved into, small plates and, allowing the chef to kind of present different ideas. So it's been a great neighborhood eatery for, we get a lot of great feedback from Rocca.
Absolutely. And the garlic knots and the Brussels sprouts, like we said earlier, those are just,
yeah.
I mean, those like that. If anytime we go to Rocca, my wife is always like, "You better come back with garlic knots."
Yeah, no, certain. So, quick story on Rocca. I mean, so originally I was writing the recipes and the menu for Rocca, and then, I met Alon Chaya, which is a good friend, a friend of mine, and I approached him about, he's kind of he really mastered that level of pizza. And so, we consulted with Alon. I don't know if a lot of people know that, but he came in and helped me, really did the menu. And, which, he's a James Beard Award chef and just talented with food. And so, I visited, his restaurants in New Orleans frequently. And I thought that would be a great addition to, the Baton Rouge scene. So,
and it has been. I mean, everybody I've talked to that have been to Rocca have had nothing but raving reviews about the full menu, all the options that are there, and it's a nice place to stop in, whether it's just the two of you, whether it's a couple, you're a single person, or you're a family. It's got an environment and an atmosphere that adheres to everybody.
Yep.
I mean, that's my wife and I went there probably a couple months ago before we had our son, and we just sat at the bar, and it was just a pleasant experience all the way around. Even at the bar, even sitting at the bar,
I like eating
and
at the
ordering
bar.
food. I love
It's
eating
underrated.
at a bar.
I
Eating
like eating at the bar.
Okay, I'm glad I'm not alone in that. Like I'll go to a restaurant and they'll say, "All right, we got some tables." I'm like, "Dude, your bar is pretty cool. Can we sit there?"
Yeah, especially with with your wife or couples, it's great because you kind of meet other people and just kind of socialize.
We met some great people there that night. That was like you don't meet anybody when you go and sit down at a table in a restaurant.
Correct.
When you go to sit, you're sitting with whomever you came with. That's who you're talking to. That's who you're interacting with. But when you sit at the bar, now you've got the added element of the bartender and whomever else is sitting at the bar with you. So you've got this little bit of family that's extended, so you meet new people.
Sure.
So before we dive any further, we're both in need of a top off. What is the next bottle of tequila we're going to go into?
The Arte Norm, Nom, I'm sorry, which is kind of it's a Spanish word for distilleries, but it's art distillery, basically translation.
Okay.
Great program. Again, this is an añejo, which is, it's aged longer than, it's the longest aging. Again, these are some French barrels that they bring in to age in Mexico. It's out of Jalisco. It's one of the finest ones you can get,
and then for those
in terms of the quality, it's just great.
And for those that aren't watching the show, that are listening to us, it's a darker color than the rest of the tequilas that we have been drinking so far. So, and they get that through the aging process you were describing to me?
Yeah, the barrels, I think this one's aged about 3 years. So it's going to take on some of the color from the barrels, just naturally.
Okay. So you've got these three concepts with a support kitchen that you're going into with the opening of Rocca. So you've got your Izzos, you've got your Lit, and you've got your Rocca, which Rocca is kind of like a 90-degree turn from the two previous concepts.
Well, so I, during my consulting years, all I did was fine dining. So I kind of, I kind of came from the fine dining world. And so I kind of, I think being in a fine dining led me to fast casual.
What?
And then being in fast casual
led you to fine?
Led me back to kind of where I got my start in the restaurant business.
So, before we deep dive in that, I want to talk about this Arte Nom.
Yeah,
Arte
Nom. You said that good.
So I get like a hint of caramel.
Yeah,
with maybe
a little cinnamon.
Okay, maybe some cinnamon here.
I had some earlier.
almost like a maple syrup on the nose. So like some.
Again, this is
I get some
a
cinnamon.
Cabernet Franc.
Okay.
It's the barrels. It's a different varietal from France. So this particular distillery in Mexico imports those barrels, and they age this tequila in there for roughly around 3 years.
So that's got a
So
little
you think
bit
about the
more-
Cabernet and
yeah.
its fermentation process in that barrel, and now tequilas. I mean, I'm sure they're not washing these things out. They're just
of course not.
No. I mean, that's the good stuff, right? So they just transfer them over there, and they're aging their tequila in there, so it's picking up all those notes of all the,
All
the
the-
varietal of those
yeah.
grapes and so forth. So
Yeah, it's delicious. It's almost got like a
easy
color.
drinking, right?
This is very
Clean.
easy drinking, very clean, very
Salud.
flavorful.
Do we say salute?
Absolutely, salud. But it almost has like a bourbon color to it, which is totally different from the other 4 different tequilas we have up here.
Correct.
Like they're all a lighter with the.
This would be a sipping tequila, right? I mean, you don't
Yeah.
want to mix this.
Gosh,
you could.
I wouldn't want to mix any of these we've had so far.
Exactly.
Like these are all sipping
Yeah,
tequilas.
they're all very easy drinking.
Yes.
And that's the name of the game. It's just to enjoy it. Really, these families, and again, we're going to get to this mezcal, which is a father-son, duo, and a lot of these are family distilleries, that have been doing this for ages. Now, the popularity of tequila is tremendous, right? I mean, you
it's
have
booming fast.
Hollywood movie stars opening tequila, and it's a great, clean, liquor that people really enjoy, and a lot of it's the trend of the bottle too, right?
Bottle
we have this
attractiveness
Classo
is
Soul. It
huge.
looks like a genie in a bottle,
I know,
which
like,
I
that's-
really like. It's clean, it's good,
like that. That's a decorative piece. Like if
Yeah.
you're gonna go home and throw that away, we'll keep it at the studio and
Yeah.
we'll make like a decorative icon out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the attractiveness of the bottle and what draws people in to grab it. It's
Sure.
something they don't know about.
That's probably half of it, right?
Oh my gosh!
From a shelf, if you're looking at it on a store shelf, you're probably
Like, what looks
that
pretty?
bottle looks exactly. We eat with our eyes, right?
Yes.
We drink with our eyes.
So and speaking of that, I know I've ranted and raved enough about the garlic knots and the Brussels sprouts. So if you're in the Baton Rouge area and you need to go to Rocca, those are the 2 items you need to order on the menu first and foremost: the garlic knots and the Brussels sprouts at Rocca Pizzeria
Can't go wrong.
on Government Street, Mid City, Baton Rouge. You can't go wrong with that. But going to the effect of eating with our eyes and having that switch from fast casual to sit down dining, you then went under the path of opening a 4th concept of Modesto. So what is all
So
of that
Modesto
entail?
has been on my mind. Well, had been in the works for a long time. Was to do a more, again, authentic, little traditional Mexican regional. My family's from northern Mexico, which is a lot more European influenced.
Okay.
Flour tortillas, right? I mean, I grew up rolling out flour tortillas, But we ate corn too, but the further south you go, the flour evaporate. I mean, it's
So
non-existent.
is that how it works? I'm not
Correct. Yeah,
educated in any of that. So it's the northern Mexico is
I would say
flour.
80% of Mexico does not eat flour tortillas. It's
Okay.
corn.
Right.
The northern side into Texas, where flour was more probably imported.
I was about to say, is it just ease of access?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Mexico makes flour. They make corn or maseca, but so, I wanted to do something, more full service. Obviously, we had the fast casual Tex-Mex Izzo's burrito restaurant, and kind of showcase, I love Mexican food. I think it's one of the best cuisines there is, not only from a food standpoint, from a beverage standpoint, because of tequila. And we wanted to do something a little different, and so we make our corn tortillas, from scratch, and we kind of took different regions of my travels. Growing up, I think my family took one American vacation, was to Colorado Springs, which I thoroughly enjoyed.
Mm.
But the rest of the time it was to Mexico, Acapulco, Mazatlan, Ixtapa, Mexico City. So, growing up, our vacations were always in Mexico, which was fine. I didn't have a problem with it. It's just my parents' preference. And so, I tell people Mexico's much like the United States. You go to Seattle, their cuisine's much different from New Orleans.
Very much so.
Very much so.
And there's Seattle cuisine is extremely different.
Now there's a commonality with it was the tortilla, right? Everybody, Mexico and the tortilla, but whether it's mole, whether it's barbacoa, lengua, or different cabrito, goat. You grew up with goats.
They weren't meat goats. We tried to convince my mom to harvest some of the goats for meat, and she just was like, "Mom, we have like $2 or $3 out of this litter. Let's just take one. Let's do like a Spitfire roast of this goat." She couldn't.
There you go.
She had too much of an emotional attachment to the goats, and they became more. If you've ever raised Nubian goats, they're become like dogs, and they literally will come up to you and just rub their head on you, and like you'll sit down, they'll come in your lap. They become like dogs.
They are domesticated.
Oh, they're very much domesticated.
Yeah.
So my mom could not part with any of the goats in any fashion to be consumed, with the exception of their milk, which was a product of them. So we didn't eat goats, but I do enjoy goat meat.
Well, we had a lot of goat, a lot of cabrito.
So that's what's called cabrito?
Yeah, a lot of cabrito. Yeah, my one of my uncles that we used to visit, he owned a butcher shop, and actually I use his chorizo recipe, which is great. It's at Modesto. And so, but, Mexico is a melting pot. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. The French obviously conquered Mexico with Maximilian, and, he brought his pastry chefs in, and, Mexican pastries are unbelievable. And we learned it from the French. We have the trompo, which is the spit, which is from the Lebanese. We have the rotisserie, the kind of like our friends at Al Basha.
The whole rotisserie and everything. Yeah, I think Syrops does it too.
Yeah, sure. That again, we introduced pork to it, but whereas they did gyro and chicken or whatever. So it's a melting pot of different, regional cuisines that became, a lot of natural. So we're using a lot of those techniques that we're doing. A lot of adobo, a lot of chilies, dried chilies that we're rehydrating. So we're trying to. Hey, things are falling down.
That's all good. It's Scott's currency bank sign. That's fine. It's all good. It's every episode.
But we're trying to bring something unique to I think Americans' palates have evolved. They really have.
They're looking for something new.
Yes.
And especially like within Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas, if a new, like for example, Go Eats is the parent company. If they open a new concept, we're more likely to try that than an outsider coming in and opening a new restaurant.
That's
because we want to continue supporting that brand because we've come to know and love what you have to offer. And so then when you start offering different concepts, we're like, sure.
The expectation of the service, the quality.
Exactly. You know what you're going to get from that family.
Everything. Yeah, correct. That's it. So, Modesto's been fun. It's been a lot of fun just being able to kind of push out some of my heritage, a lot of more, again, authentic regional cuisine through that program, and we plan to expand that. That one, it's been tremendous. The community has been very supportive. It's getting busier every week. I think we had our busiest week last week. It's just
with any reason. Like
it's just
I feel like there's nothing really going. Well, I guess the Final Four or something was going on last week.
Baseball.
LSU,
Again, that's why I love LSU. That area. It's just LSU is a great university that's never going to go away, and it's got new people coming in. They've got alumni. So again, and LSU sports are great. It's hot. So. But it's been a great restaurant, and we're looking, to open store number 2, and we'll see where that takes us.
Okay, so the existing Modesto is located where? For those
it's on Burbank next to Lit, which is in the walk-ons, that area with the parking lot.
So you've got Izzo's, Lit, and Modesto.
Well, Izzo's a little further down,
okay,
towards where the Mellow Mushroom. For our folks that remember the Mellow Mushroom over there.
R.I.P. Mellow Mushroom.
Yeah, had many great nights over there.
I'm sure.
I know Clark and Bruno very well.
A lot of college students from LSU had plenty of good nights in the Mellow Mushroom.
Yeah, we opened up at the same time. They opened Mellow, I opened Izzo, so we became really good friends. So
did you text them? We outlived you. They closed down.
Did we have text back then? I don't even remember.
Well, no, when they closed down. I'm saying when they closed down, you text them, "Hey, it was a great run. We're still here."
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it was a sad day. That's for sure.
Has that been filled yet?
I think there was another pizzeria in there.
Pizzeria?
Something with an M.
Okay.
The name is escaping me. Mazzos? Mazzos?
Matzi? Matzahs. Okay, we got Barrett and Jacob chiming in. Matzahs.
I've not visited there yet. But.
I haven't. I've been to. I went down a different college student involvement path than the norm. Tigerland partying. I was doing different business ventures and exploring all these different companies that I was trying to start and found and crashed and whatnot. So I didn't go to Mellow Mushroom as frequent. I think I've been to Mellow Mushroom once in its entirety.
Really?
So I have not been to its new concept or its new location-filled business of the pizzeria. So I haven't been there yet. So I'm anxious to try it. So with the Modesto being, I mean, you kind of parked three different locations in the LSU area. Is the next Modesto? I mean, do you have an idea as to where it's going to be? Something we can.
I mean, I think that's the problem,
tease for
right?
people. Are you trying to find a place?
Yeah, I mean, there's several areas. You know, obviously, I think Ascension Parish has been tremendous, very supportive of all our concepts. You know, so Ascension Parish is great. You know, there's several great areas in Baton Rouge. You know, it's just about finding the right location, and it's probably going to have to be some dirt at this point, and build it.
You think so?
I think so.
And there's any like vacant spots you can pick and kind of.
Do you know any
retrofit? Not in the AP.
Point me in the right direction.
I don't know anything in the AP or the LP, but
yeah,
maybe in Baton Rouge.
LP's been great to us too. Livingston Parish is great.
You just gotta be careful what side of I-12 you're on.
Well, we're over there off Jubin, and it's we have Izzo's and Lit over there, and those are great operating stores. So, yeah.
So okay, we're gonna start to wrap up and kind of wind down the show, but I want to get to our fifth and final bottle of tequila.
Did you enjoy the Art Gnome?
This was really good. So I enjoy.
You're beating me on it.
I know, I enjoy. Well, you're doing a lot of the talking, so it makes sense. But I'm a good bourbon drinker. I like a good.
Love a bourbon. Yeah, that's good.
Good bourbon, and a good rye as well. So this was kind of like right up my normal alley. It was not a normal tequila flavor. Is not what I normally get.
I think that's what. Yeah, I think people they have maybe a adolescent memory of a cheap tequila. Yeah, that they got too drunk on, and they and then it's like I don't want tequila. Limes. I mean, it's. To me, it's hard to get something finer. It's a great drink. It's very clean, and it's very easy tomorrow. It doesn't leave you with too much tomorrow.
Well, good.
You wake up clear headed.
We're in tax season, so I need to have a clear head. Strong heart.
As long as you don't mix sugar in it. The margaritas are the sugar in the margaritas. I love margaritas, but the sugar in there
are deadly.
Set you back.
They set you back, and they're very deadly because it takes a while to catch up to what you've consumed of the margaritas. And I feel like in Baton Rouge, they all have their hot spots for where they get their margaritas. So you can ask any Baton Rouge person, all right, where do you drink margaritas? They're going to say, yes, I drink X, Y, and Z's company's margaritas. Correct. They know exactly where they get their margaritas from, and they only go to that restaurant for the margaritas. And so, margaritas they'll come back and bite you the next morning.
Oh, they will.
So, but sipping tequila like this, going to Modesto and sipping some tequila slowly, and not
having
consuming a massive amount of margaritas will not give you such a headache and a hangover the next morning.
Yeah. Well, we can't guarantee it, but I think it will help for sure. So our last bottle is a mezcal. A little smokiness, and this mezcal is mal bien, which translates to bad good. It's a father-son.
I'll say bien's good.
It's a father-son combo. Look, Ciro and Javier.
Ciro and Javier?
Yeah.
Okay.
And father and son, I think they're like third generation, mezcal makers.
Wait, so do they have the coordinates on the bottle?
They might. I didn't study it too well.
They've got like 17 point some
Yeah,
decimals and
probably so.
negative 99.
It's kind of a cool bottle.
It's a very cool bottle.
Doesn't look like a father-son, third-generation Mexican kind of type bottle, right? I mean, it looks a little bit more modern.
It looks very modern. Like you get a very modern feel. It's almost.
It's probably what they're going after, though, is to.
It's like an
right.
I mean, for the lack of a better term, it's kind of like an Austin vibe.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
like,
it has an Austin vibe.
Like that. That's what I get. That's what I feel from looking. Like this is probably like distilled in Austin.
Yeah, they're probably maybe they had some marketing people come to them or hired them and said, "Do you want to sell?" But they only make 212 bottles of this a year.
So 212 bottles. So how do you get
Your
your hands,
allocation?
Yeah, how do you get an allocation of something that's
Just
only
because again,
bottles? Wait,
we have great relationship with our vendors.
So how many do you have before you open this? I don't want to drink the whole bottle tonight. There's only 212 a year.
I can't confirm that, but yeah. So again, this is mezcal, which it's cooked agave, right? So it's baked, oven baked. However they're doing, probably pit roasted, some sort of natural fire, but I'm sure they've commercialized it. But that's mezcal, and then it's aged, and it creates a little smokiness in it.
Okay, so the big difference between mezcal and the tequila is the smokiness of it, or what's the big difference?
It is the smokiness of it.
Okay,
right. So it's the leaves of the agave, which are oven baked or cooked, fire roasted, and then distilled and pressed. So
okay, and so this has a little bit. This has a whole different.
It's probably going to be a little harder, but it's clean. It's very good.
It is. It's like. It smells like it's got a little stiffness to it, but it also you get that sense that it'll go down easy, if that makes any kind of sense.
So for me, it's kind of a vaquero drink. It's a little cowboy drink. A little bit more.
Yeah, you do.
Robust.
Like cowboy is the way I would describe it.
Right?
I don't know how it's cowboy, but it is the smokiness. Like I feel like
very effective though.
I feel like it's by itself it would stand alone as a great like ranch water or something. Like because it's also
a great drink
it's also refreshing,
mix.
but it is a little like
you can add some topo, which we've got here.
I don't know if I want to add topo to it.
I mean just you could mix it, but you can drink
chase it with topo.
There you go. You can chase it with topo. That's probably a good idea. But mezcal makes some great cocktails. So I mean, adding bitters to it. I mean, there's so many different things you do it. I mean, some of these mixologists do an incredible job with mezcal. It's a great drink or a great liqueur to really mix. Yeah. It's not something you want to sip. You can, but it's usually
it's usually made more for mixing.
Yeah.
So I guess that's how they get the 212 bottles to stretch a little longer.
Yeah, 212 bottles seems like it's very boutique-ish. Huh?
Yeah, I mean that's like rough math, like 4 bottles of state, like just rough math.
Yeah, they must be charging quite a bit for it. So
yeah, I mean but it's really good, and I always try to seek out those like unique, different either distilleries or brands that are not your everyday commonality. And I mean, I know I say that as we have a Michelob Ultra mini fridge in the studio, but I still like to seek out different items that are not on the beaten path, something
Correct.
That's unique and independent per se.
Yeah.
Which this falls within that category. If it's a father and son distillery, like what they're doing, the low production that they have is exciting. That it's made its way to Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Correct.
Like that to me is exciting.
No, it is. And look, I mean, homage to Sean Courtney, our director of hospitality. Tremendous talent with beverage, wine, our wine program at Rocca. He's like a, knowledgeable, very knowledgeable, unbelievably knowledgeable. And so with tequilas and mezcals and so forth and whiskeys, we have great whiskeys, which is in our namesake at Modesto. We wanted to offer some great whiskeys. So again, we're trying to you hit the nail on the head. It's like something that you can't necessarily find at your local grocery store, right? You're looking to expand your palate. You're looking to expand your, your offerings. And that's kind of what we're offering is something different and something unique and something that is, great for our guests.
Right. I mean, you want something that people have to come back to your restaurant time and time again to experience.
Well, we want to educate. I mean, again, it's an experience. Yeah. It's an experience, right? That's what we're looking to do. When you go out to eat, you're looking for an experience.
Absolutely. Because if not, you can just go buy whatever you want in the store and then bring it back home and make it at home the convenience.
Correct.
But if you have to go to some place to experience it, I think in a post-pandemic world, that's what we're after. We're after an experience, something we can go live through
100%.
And really just embody ourselves within the concepts of what you've got here, like within Modesto, within Rocca. Like you go there for the experience.
Sure. So, I mean, you have a family of how many now? 3?
We're just 3. We just have one boy. We just got one boy.
Yeah. So do you find that cooking at home or versus eating out, what is your take on that? So from a dollar standpoint.
So he's on that's the trouble. That's the trouble. I'm looking at it from an experience standpoint instead of a dollar
You're basically
standpoint.
eating for 2 though. Still.
Correct. And so
he's only 5 months?
He's not even 5 months.
What's
yet.
his name?
His name is Quentin Douglas.
Oh, Quentin. I like that.
So we wanted to go unique, but we named him Douglas after my dad. But so his name is Quentin, and he does well at restaurants, depending on when he's last eaten.
Sure.
So if we time him right, like we went and met my in-laws for dinner at a restaurant off the Jefferson, some Italian joint. I don't know the name of it. It was the very first time. La Cantera. Is that the big one?
I don't know.
No, I'm sorry, not Italian. It was more so I think it's in the same shopping center as that, but it's off way to the right by itself. It's not
Eliza?
Yes. Eliza?
Great Eliza. We call it Eliza.
Eliza.
Yeah. Great restaurant.
Really great restaurant.
Russell's doing a good job over there.
I misspoke. It's not Italian. It's Louisiana cuisine.
Yes.
So that it's next to the big Italian place. So that was the first time I've ever been there, and so we drove around the parking lot for like 4 or 5, probably 10, 15 minutes to get him to fall asleep, and he was fine within sitting in his car seat while we ate dinner. And so he's good in that respect. And so like we've been to a couple of different restaurants where we just keep him in his car seat and he's good. And so we're able to enjoy a night out. But so when he wakes up, we have to quickly leave, like if he starts crying and screaming and whatnot. So at home, we have the more convenience of cooking and putting him in like a little rocker or a chair or a bouncer. And so he's not quite to that phase where when he's awake, he's still able to kind of interact with everybody in a restaurant setting and be okay with it. So when he gets older, I'm sure we're going to enjoy getting back to the restaurant atmosphere.
So cooking, you're basically cooking for 2.
Yeah, we're cooking for he's taking a formula bottle with like some oatmeal mixed in. Like that's where we're at.
So how do you feel for cooking for 2 from a inflationary cost standpoint? You go to the grocery store, you want to cook steaks, get a bottle of wine, you want to make some mashed potatoes and asparagus, right? So you have the not only the time to go shopping,
right?
The cost, the preparation,
and
the execution, the cleanup, So I'm asking as because you're not in the restaurant industry. Right?
Not directly, no.
Not directly. You're a consumer.
Not directly. Yeah, I'm a consumer.
I mean, but that could.
So it
seems
does.
like it's getting expensive
when you break it down to a price per meal. And so as a CPA, I do this weird thing where I do monthly financials for my wife and I for our household. I present her financials and we discuss it and go through everything. So we're able to see and track. And then I do comparative financials. So I'm able to see what I spent last year to this year for the month. And so I'm noticing for 2022 our eat out category because I have within our meals and entertainment I have eat in and eat out.
Oh wow!
And so I separate it.
Wow, you're on the ball.
Well, I'm a CPA. I've got to be. I'm a CPA. I've got to be. So like, and I track all that. I've got like probably 4 or 5 years worth of data, and so I can track and look through all that. And so looking through the eat in versus eat out, our eat out has dropped, which is expected when you have a newborn. It's expected you're not going to eat out as much.
100%.
Our food cost has like not really changed as much as I thought it would. Like, I thought eating in, our cost would drop, but it really hasn't. And so when looking at that and looking at what we're eating in versus what we're eating out, like, we're balancing out. But to your point of going to the grocery store, buying all these items that you now have to prepare this meal, that you then have to cook this meal, you have to clean up after this meal, the time it takes to do all that, I get why we went out so much before we had Quentin, was the fact that the ease. Like, to drive to Rocca and to eat at Rocca was probably an hour and a half experience. To cook the same meal that Rocca provided was not an hour and a half experience.
Yeah, that's true.
It was a lot longer.
We're hearing a lot of that. I think it's more pronounced now.
People are now seeing it a lot more.
Correct.
And I'm not, so my family raises cattle. So my thoughts and my viewpoint on beef is not the same as everybody else's viewpoint on beef, because I'm getting my beef from the harvested cows that we have. But going to Iverstein Farms Butcher, which
Galen's doing a great job.
A past guest of the show. Galen has done an amazing job.
Great job.
All through COVID, all through this pandemic. Absolutely amazing.
Knows what he's doing.
Knows what the cuts of meat
need to go
are
see
phenomenal.
him.
Yeah, if you have not been to Iverstein,
get on his weekly delivery program. Yeah.
It's really amazing what he's doing and the cuts of beef you're getting from him. But going through that route of purchasing all that beef versus what it was 2-3 years ago is a different price point. But yeah, I would love to get to the point where we're able to go back into a restaurant and enjoy that more, because it is that experience that you're after when you go to a restaurant. Whereas if you're home, it's nice, it's relaxed, it's very casual.
Correct.
But there's something to be said about that restaurant experience versus in-home experience that you just can't compare the two.
Well, you can, but I mean, everyone loves it. I love a home cooked meal, right? And
100%.
It's definitely more affordable to cook a home cooked meal. But it's getting. I think the pendulum.
It's getting close.
Is getting closer. So it depends on. You want steak night, like I said.
Yeah,
you want to cook a burrito,
like filet Friday.
If you want to make a burrito, you want to do black beans, Mexican rice, steak, cheese, sour cream, wok, tortillas. You go to the store to buy all that. By the time you do all that, it's interesting that the dynamic has shifted a little bit. It's what I'm hearing from a lot of our guests.
And you're also not buying just for one night.
Correct.
Like, if you buy the ingredients to make your burritos, your fajitas, your tacos, whatever you're making, you're not buying just enough for that one night. You're going to have some lunch left over.
You are.
So you're going to have that meal spill into over meals.
Sure.
Which, there's a lot of people out there that don't like leftovers. I'm
one of them.
I get it. I'm not one of them.
You like leftovers?
I survive on leftovers.
Do you?
Love me some leftovers.
That's awesome.
That's one of my lunches whenever my wife and I have our quote unquote Sunday meetings to plan the week. We're like, all right, how many lunches do we need to make? How many lunches do we need to buy? We look at it and I'm like, all right, well, we don't need lunches because we got all these leftovers, and I'll just eat those for lunch. And so I thrive on leftovers, but not everybody does. So if you don't thrive on leftovers, you can see a potential high waste output of what you're cooking. Whenever you order whenever you go and purchase goods from the grocery store, you're going to be cooking, and it's going to be a high waste. But at a restaurant, you're getting just what you need, cooked to the exact specifications you want.
I think a lot of us are busy, right? Yeah. You have.
We were not busy for 2 years.
Well,
that's gone.
That's
so far gone.
You have both parties working.
Yeah.
Kids are after school activities, whether it's baseball or sports or you name it, and by the time you get out, it's 6 o'clock, 6:30.
Even later than that.
It might be later than
My
that.
brother-in-law was telling me that they're playing a baseball game at Traction with a 7:50 start time.
Oh, yeah.
For like 7-8-year-olds. I'm like, that's past my bedtime at 7:50, 8 o'clock. Come on now.
The American pastime, baseball, is great. I love it. My kids played
Great sport. It's very fun.
Yeah, but
it's adjusting that family dynamic of when you go to bed, when you eat dinner, like all that's being adjusted.
Yeah, it's good fun out there being at the park, though.
It is. All right.
It's a lot of fun.
It is.
Well, you have a boy.
I have a boy.
He'll be playing baseball soon enough, so you'll be out there.
Well, see, that's the trouble. See, so I'm
To
technically
be sponsored by the Patty G Show.
Oh, whatever sport he plays, I will sponsor that team for sure. But so the trouble is, I never really played a lot of those sports growing up. So I did running, I did swimming, and we did triathlons. That was my sport.
Triathlons.
Like that was cross country.
Not many people do triathlons.
No, and it's not a sport I would recommend to the masses. It's a sport for those that want to undergo some punishment. Because it's three sports that are wildly different, but somehow come together in a harmony within an event. And so that's what we did. I did running, I did swimming, and I did triathlons. And the reason being is because I'm blind on my left eye, so I can't see it. I can't technically see it on my left eye. And so all those sports where an object, a ball is coming at you, baseball, football, soccer. A
little difficult.
It's a little difficult because the depth perception isn't there whenever a ball is flying at you. My last game I played as a baseball athlete was in second or third grade. Somebody hit a pop fly and I had my hand up with my glove and I missed it and it hit me right in the face. That was my last game of baseball. Yeah. So
not your finest moment.
It's not my finest moment. But if my son wants to play baseball, by all means, I'll let him play some baseball. Yeah. But I'm really pushing some golf or something.
Oh yeah,
that's a lot less.
Yeah, the social sports are great. Those are lifelong sports.
Yeah, but my nephew
loves tennis.
Baseball.
I play tennis and golf.
Tennis, golf, all of it is a great lifelong sport, like you said. But my nephew loves baseball, and they were out at Traction for 12 hours on Sunday.
Very competitive.
Very, very competitive. And they all.
If you think you're good, you're not that good. So someone else is better.
If you start talking about how good you are, you're really not that good.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we got to wrap up the show.
Well, fun times, man. We talked quite a bit.
We did, but we
had a lot of.
We still got some questions to cover. So hang on now.
All right.
So we have four distinct questions we ask every show.
No, do you put me on the spot here?
Yeah, but I text you about it. It's okay. It's okay. So first and foremost, what are 3 lessons you've learned along your way? So you've got, what is it? 5 different concepts over the course of 21 years. So over that time frame, what are 3 lessons you've gathered in your industry along the way?
In my industry? Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, there's several things probably, but what comes to mind is treat people with dignity and respect, right? It's the number one thing, I think.
Regardless of industry.
I mean, we're all on this earth and human beings, and we all put our pants on the same way, right? So,
well, I wouldn't go that far.
Being humble, believing in our team. That's another thing. I mean, is given, not micromanaging people, right? If you're asking from a business standpoint, it's allowing that freedom of management, not deviating from the business concept, but every manager is different. Every person's different, and again, it's, I think the third thing would be just not cutting corners, believing, staying true to your principles, right? What got you here is not forgetting where you came from. And again, the quality of the product, the quality of the service, all of that ties in together. Just integrity.
Yeah. I love all 3 of those. I mean, that's for any business, you got to have that at your core.
That's it.
So what is something you did as a kid you wish you could still do today?
Skateboard.
I skateboarded too.
I had a half bike in my backyard. I mean, I was a Powell Peralta.
Wow, you were the cool kid on the block.
Bones. Yeah, I mean, I grew up, Skulls and Bones. I mean,
absolutely.
I was what is a Christian Hosoi or, Tony Hawk, obviously, and, all those guys, the Bones Brigade. I loved skateboarding, and, it was something, I wasn't very good at it. I won't say that, I won't brag that I was good at it, but I tried.
Yeah, I
still have a little tailbone issues from it.
So I credit skateboarding to my love of wakeboarding.
I love wakeboarding.
So I love wakeboarding. Even though I've only been snowboarding once, it's still very similar in that of wakeboarding. Not the same, but still similar into that aspect. But yeah, I skateboarded for a long time growing up as a teenager and all that. A buddy of mine, you had a half pike in your yard that you built, whether it was with
My
your
dad built
dad
it.
or by yourself. You were the cool kid on the block.
Yeah, we
And
used to drop.
everybody
in,
would
drop
flock to your street.
We had quite a few. It was an after-school activity.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Yeah, I mean, my first board was a Vision Gator. You remember those? I don't know. I mean, you're
Vision
younger
Gator,
than me.
right.
I'm 48, so
I'm not
Yeah.
not there. I'm not there yet.
yeah.
I'm a little
Vision
little
Gator.
younger.
It's a great board.
No, we had the like the Wally Underworld or whatever it was called. That was like our big brand.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
okay,
The tracker trucks, the independent trucks. Or,
Yep, yeah, the independent trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I built one skateboard and that was it. Like after I built it, I enjoyed it, loved it, and then that was the end of my skating career.
Skateboarding's kind of lost. My kids just didn't. I think my oldest son kind of maybe had maybe a 6 month appeal to it, and then it just lost its.
It's
but I was all into it.
It's come and go and become a lot less mainstream.
Yeah.
And then like you if you ever watch or follow like Tony Hawk on social media, it's funny to see his interactions because he'll have people who are into skateboarding ask him to like take a picture with somebody else who's like more like now in skateboarding.
Yeah.
And they'd be like, hey, you random person, can you take this photo? And he's like,
Sure.
I'm Tony Hawk. I've changed the game for all of you guys.
Yeah,
Sure,
really.
I'll take the photo. But so yeah, okay. So skateboarding. So moving from Houston to Baton Rouge to get out of that saturated market for your business. This question revolves around our city as a whole, and it is, what do you love about Baton Rouge?
I think it's the entertainment, the people, obviously, right? I mean, but it's the entertainment. I feel like Baton Rouge, again, I connect with it because my family entertained. We had family, friends over. My mom entertained. When we go out to eat, going out to eat in Baton Rouge is part of our DNA. It's like part of our, we need it to.
It's an event.
It's an event, right? I mean, we take pride in our restaurants and eateries and crawfish bowls and at home entertainment, right? I mean,
We're
dinner
centered around
parties,
food.
yeah. So I think that the culture I relate to a lot, right? Family, close knit family, right? Entertainment, those values, those core values, and I think that's what Baton Rouge, in its essence, really displays, which I love. My wife, grew up in Galveston, Texas, and she would not move out of Baton Rouge. Yeah, she loves Baton Rouge.
Really?
Yeah. We have a lot of. Obviously, it's been great to us, not only from a business standpoint, but from a friendship standpoint. We have a lot of great friends, and I think it's a great place to raise your family, kids. Our kids. It's interesting. Me being a Texan by birth, but my kids were from Louisiana, right? I mean, so crawfish bowls and
It's part of the culture.
That's it. It's part of the culture, and to me, that's the beauty of it.
Right. And I live and breathe that every day.
The music. The culture here is unbelievable.
Yeah.
right?
I mean, and the people that make up the culture are really
Yeah.
what leaves an impact on you.
Correct.
It's those that you meet and interact with every single day that really give you that sense of, no, I don't really want to leave. You want
Correct.
to stay.
Yeah, we have something unique here. I mean, right? We all kind of embrace, right?
We
You can get your
do.
arms. I don't know that other parts of the country necessarily have the commonality that
We look past
South
a lot
Louisiana
of
at
defects
least, right?
within our city. We look past a lot of defects within our city
Sure.
to come together for the greater good of all the people that make us up.
Yeah, 100%.
So for the final question, what can I do to help you, Ozzie?
Well, I didn't expect that question, but I think you're doing a great job. I mean, being on the show with you, being able to tell my story. I don't know that I've gotten this personal. I don't know that the tequila probably helped a little bit.
To go through 5 bottles of tequila will really do that to you.
We've had quite a bit. Yeah, we're a little liquid courage, but having this conversation with you, just kind of opening up. It's an interesting dynamic to really display your story of who you are and what you stand for and where you're going, right? Because if you're not growing, you're dying, and
Yeah.
that's something I believe in. Like, we're consistently, whether it's mentally or educationally or business or whatever, if you're not growing, you're dying, So, and to be on the show with you, it's been great. It's been a great experience. It's been fun, specifically. I'm sure I'll see you at the restaurants. You already go to Rocca, you're already helping us out. So I don't know.
Rocca, Lit, and Izzo's are frequent within the household and within within our business. So
salute
to that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, man, for coming on the show.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time and
thoroughly enjoyed it.
Making this happen. This was a blast.
Yeah.
We've got a.
Sorry to ramble. I like to ramble sometimes.
We love that. We welcome it. Random.
Thanks, Baton Rouge. We appreciate you.
Yeah. So if you're in Baton Rouge and you're looking for your next place, your meal, or what is it? I don't know, like 6:30, 7 o'clock right now, and you're looking for some place to eat, check out one of these great concepts. You've got Modesto, you've got Rocca, you've got Lit, you've got Izzo's. If you're looking for any place during the lunch rush tomorrow, absolutely keep them on your list. And if you're looking for a local person who has moved in here, fully embraced the culture, and really made a habit of what we have to offer in Baton Rouge, the Go Eats Concept family is the place for you. So I thank you to Ozzie for coming on the show, man.
Appreciate it.
I'm going to give a shout out to my buddy Conrad for making this happen.
Bucky.
Bucky? Is that what he's called, Bucky?
Yeah.
I'm going to start calling him Bucky from now on.
Don't call him Conrad. Call him Bucky.
All right, Bucky.
Yeah.
All right.
He's at the LSU baseball game tonight.
I know. He's quote-unquote. This is what he told us. He said, I can't come tonight, y'all, because I'm babysitting the kids at the LSU baseball game.
Chore. It was a chore.
It was a chore. Yeah, I have the chore of taking the kids to the baseball game.
Yeah, he's a good dad, though. He takes the kids always over there.
But I mean,
I think he was just.
I think it was mislabeled.
Reference,
I think it was mislabeled because if anyone has ever taken a child to like an LSU baseball game, it's not really a chore. I mean, there's some work involved. Don't get me wrong.
Sure.
But like, that's a fun time.
Oh,
taking your kids to the LSU baseball at Alex Box. Come on.
Well, he spends every weekend at the baseball. His son's playing baseball, so he's a travel ball.
That's
dad.
why I don't see him in the office.
Yeah.
All right, this makes a lot more sense now. Okay. All right, Bucky,
I'm
I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, Bucky.
Bucky and
what?
Kelly.
Bucky Kelly?
No, Kelly's his wife.
Oh, okay. All right.
Bucky
and
and
Kelly.
Kelly.
I'm coming after you, Bucky.
That's right.
Anyways, Ozzie, thank you so much, man. This has been a fun time. Y'all, if y'all want any of these tequilas we talked about tonight throughout the show, go see Ozzie or his
great
crew
bartenders
at
over
Modesto.
there. Yeah.
And so they can find you right around LSU's campus.
Yeah, right on Burbank Drive, right by Walk-Ons, Lit Pizza, right next door.
Look, Burbank Drive, you'll hit up 3 of their locations out of the 4. You'll hit 75% for those college students. That's a passing grade with flying colors. Well, y'all, this has been the latest rendition of the Patty G Show. I'm your host, Patty G. We're signing out. Big thanks to our lovely sponsors that make this show possible. Give us the ability to sit here and sip on some tequila. We'll see y'all on the next one.
Adios.
Thank y'all so very much for listening to this episode of the Patty G Show, brought to you by Government Taco. They're located on the corner of Government Street and Jefferson Highway. Jay is always slinging up a new taco of the month, so if you're a frequenter to Government Taco, let us know in the comments what you thought about this month's taco of the month. If you're not a frequenter, maybe trying out this month's taco might just convert you. Big thanks over to them at Government Taco for making the Patty G Show possible. Thank you so very much to our sponsor, Falaya Real Estate. They are the all-in-one real estate platform for you, whether you're buying or selling. They've got options starting out at $399 to sell your home. The average lister saves anywhere from $7,800 on their closing of their home. It's really incredible what they're doing with it. Barrett is amazing at Falaya. Jacob, they're going to help you through the entire process from start to finish and really treat you like family.
At Horizon Financial Group, we enjoy helping others achieve greater confidence, clarity, and direction in their lives. We realize everyone's path to financial success is unique. Sometimes you just need a friendly guide along the way. Whether it's customized financial planning, individual wealth management, or servicing your company's retirement plan, we've got the team with the experience to help you reach your goals. Horizon Financial Group, helping you provide, protect, and prosper for those counting on you. Visit us at horizonfg.com. Cetera Advisors, LLC, member FINRA SIPC. Cetera is a separate entity.
Thank you to Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge for making this show possible. Nick Pentis is a past guest. We love having him on. Listening to him talk about the culture they have over at Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge is really an incredible thing to hear. how they treat not only their employees, but every customer that walks through the door. You are more than just a number to them. They're going to give you that white glove concierge service every step of the way. They're going to make you feel like family and take what can be a stressful time in people's life, shopping for a car. They're going to make it so enjoyable and so pleasurable. You're going to want to go back there time and time again for every new vehicle. Thank you so very much for Mercedes-Benz of making this show possible. Thank you so very much to Mallard Bay Outdoors, the Airbnb for the outdoor sportsman. If you're looking to book a hunt or a fishing trip, this is the platform to use. They are a past guest of the Patty G Show. We got to learn all about what they're doing from the ground up. They are really revolutionizing the booking process for hunts and fish all across the country. For your next hunting or fishing experience, or maybe your corporate retreat, you're looking for something to do for your employees, book a hunt or a fishing trip with Mallard Bay Outdoors, and they will take care of you every step of the way, from organizing it with the guides and the captains to making sure you can take care of them at the end of the trip. Mallard Bay. Thank you so very much to Currency Bank, a proud sponsor of the Patty G Show. If you are looking for a business bank that fosters on 3 core values, relationships, service, and technology, Currency Bank is the place for you. They pride themselves on convenient, accessible, and secure online banking resources where you can manage your account balances, initiate transfers, enroll with e-statements, and more via their online portal. Between the relationships, the service, and the technology, they are going to be that partner with your business every step of the way, regardless of what you need. Currency Bank is the bank for business owners.
Simple.